Hi everyone, and welcome to Paper Pumpkin Week here on Creative Chelsey. Thanks for joining me today as I share some beautiful card ideas you can make with the May 2025 Paper Pumpkin Kit called Mountain Majesties. Here's a quick peek at the original cards that you can make with the kit. It makes 9 cards, 3 in these 3 different designs. If you'd like to watch me unbox the kit and create these cards or see any of my other alternatives, you can click on the playlist in the top right corner. This is the second set of alternative cards I'll be making this week. They use one card base to show you a simple version and then a stepped up version of the same card. If you are new to my channel and would like to continue to see all of my paper pumpkin alternatives, make sure to subscribe using the link in the bottom right corner. I would love to be your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. If you're interested in getting your own paper pumpkin subscription, please use the link in the description below to subscribe. My subscribers receive an exclusive card kit designed by me with everything they need to make another alternative card using the stamp set and ink spot from that month's kit. We gather together once a month on Zoom to make the card and have fun together. I would love to have you join me. Make sure to subscribe to Paper Pumpkin and list me as your demonstrator or use the link below. Let's begin by cutting the card base in half. I want just a very thin border around the front, and so I'm going to cut it to 4 1/8 inch and then trim off. Let's trim off from the top. So we're going to cut that at 5 3/8 and then repeat that on our second piece. So 4 1/8. Make sure that you're removing the score line, and then 5 3/8. We also are going to remove the flap from the envelope. The dimension here doesn't really matter. It's just the flap we're going to be using. And then we're also going to trim off from this large vellum blue piece. We're going to trim a piece that's 2 1/2 inches in rectangle shape. So line up that straight line with 2 1/2 inches. We're going to save this mountain angle for another card, so put that off to the side. And then we're going to trim this down to 3 3/4. We also just need from your own stash a piece of Lost Lagoon card stock, and we're going to cut that for both of our cards. If you don't have this color, just find another color that you feel coordinates nicely with the card. All right, let's get started with the simple card first. We're going to begin with stamping the birds in the sky. You can stamp these anywhere you'd like. I'm going to do it just above the dark mountain range in the front. So it's going to kind of blend with the mountain range. So it's kind of just barely coming out. So not in the sky, but just kind of barely coming out of the mountains. The large one's on the left and the small one is on the right, kind of hidden in the blue mountains here. Off to the right side, just like that. From here, we can add it to our card base. And I'm using thick basic white cardstock for both of my cards, and we're just going to add it with a little liquid glue right to the center. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is add our greeting with a little banner behind it. And I'm using this banner from the Happy Little Things dies. I think it's just a 2-piece die set, and it might either be retired or in the clearance section. And if you don't have this, then you can just cut yourself a small strip and flag the ends. I'm going to go ahead and cut 2 of them because we also use it with our stepped up version. All right, so I've got that done. I also have a piece of basic white cardstock that's been cut to a 1/2 inch strip by 1 7/8. And for my greeting, I wanted to do a thank you card, but you could use any greeting that came in the kit. This stamp set came from the Autumn Abundance September 2024 Paper Pumpkin Kit, and it has this really nice bold thanks. So I'm going to use that, and we're going to only do thanks instead of with thanks, just keeping it really simple. So just ink up the word you want to stamp with your Misty Moonlight and stamp it on your strip. And your strip can be any size. It doesn't have to be this exact size that I'm using. And let's go ahead and add these things. I'm going to add it right to this horizontal line here. Right where the water meets the tree line. And I'm placing it right in the center. And then take thanks, add that with dimensionals. And then we'll place that in the center. And add a couple rhinestones around the greeting. And that card really is done. Nice, simple, quick card. And I love that it gives just a perfect little hint of details, simple, it's not overly fussy. I think it's really pretty. Okay, so from there we can go to our stepped up card. And this card has a lot more textures, a lot more techniques, and you can take what you want, leave what you don't, and come up with even your own version of this card as well. Let's begin by stamping on our card. Now for this one, I don't know if this is the front or back, but it has the larger trees in front. So here you can see these trees don't really go beyond that tree line where the water meets the land. And so these ones do. So that's the one that I'm using for my stepped up card. We're going to do the same thing and stamp some birds up in the top left. Just barely going beyond the sky where the mountain reaches the sky. And let's do some small ones here. My original card I put up in the top because I knew I was going to be putting something in the middle, but I could also put it off to the side too, which I think I'm going to do for this card, just to kind of balance it out a little bit more. Okay. For my next technique, we are going to do some fussy cutting. I found that fussy cutting was a little difficult for me in some of the areas, so I'm going to actually try it with my X-Acto knife for this one. I don't know how precise I'm going to be able to be with this, but we'll give it a try. What we're going to do is take our vellum, and you're going to place it in the center. And of course you don't have to do this technique. If this fussy cutting or using an X-Acto knife is a little bit, you're like, no thank you, just skip it. You could just put the vellum right in front. But what I wanted was to have the trees kind of go over the vellum. And so I'm going to have to cut a little slit around the trees so that I can tuck my vellum in. So wherever the vellum touches the trees, that is where I'm going to start and stop that slit. So right around here. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a little indentation on my paper there and about here. That's where that can stop. And same on this side. And again, I'm not sure how well this is going to work because I used I did my best with my paper snips, but they were really difficult for me to do this tree because I'm left-handed, and coming out and around was really hard. So we'll just give this a try. I do have a self-healing mat underneath, and then my X-Acto knife, and I'm just going to do my best and speed the video up so you don't have to watch me goes too slow for this. All right, so you can see that I've cut all the way through. I did have to switch to a different blade. This one was a little more of a precision blade. The other one was too wide to be able to make some of those more detailed turns. So let's go ahead and see if that will tuck in where I want it. Or if I need to make any little adjustments. I think that looks pretty good. Okay, so that's exactly where I want it to go. So right about center, go down so that all the edges are about the same all around. So now that I've got that done, I can add this to my card base. Again, I'm using a thick basic white card base here. And when you add this, make sure you don't put any adhesive on those trees. Just go around the outside edge and then right down the middle. You want to be able to slide underneath those trees there. Same little border, and then open it up to spread the glue out so you don't accidentally catch those trees and rip them off. So these should still be pretty loose so that you can tuck stuff underneath there. Okay, let's go ahead and do a little bit of decorating on the vellum. I wanted to utilize the envelope pattern, so I took off the flap and I'm going to cut from the Hugs a Bloom dies, which coordinate with this month's Paper Pumpkin set, the label. I'm going to just cut that off using one side of the flap. Let's go ahead and add that to about 1/3 of the way down from the top. So about 3/4 of an inch is what I'm looking at right there. Then take the Lost Lagoon banner piece, add that to the middle. And then for my greeting, I decided to stamp one of the greetings from the kit. It's to a wonderful man. And you could do it in Misty Moonlight, but I wanted it to coordinate a little bit better with that black. So I'm going to use Memento Black, and I'm also going to cut it out with a circle punch. And it's a 1.5 inch circle punch. Let's go ahead and add that to the center with a dimensional or 2 or 3. And the last thing we need to do before we add it to our card is wrap it with some baker's twine. And if you want to skip this step, you can. The baker's twine definitely adds a little extra to it. So if it's a little too much for you, you could skip this part. I did do a double bow, and so you just can take your baker's twine and double it up. For this card, I was thinking maybe of just trying it with a single bow. So let me just check really quick how much I need. So for a single bow, you are going to need about 16 inches. So if you wanted to do a double bow, double it up and then just do it with 2 pieces at doing the same thing that I am. So you just would have 2 pieces instead of 1. And that's a really easy way to make a double bow. There's lots of ways to do it. So I'm going to place this inside, put my ends together, and tie a knot on one side. That didn't work. There we go. Let's make sure those ends are about even. Okay. All right. So once you have a knot, I like to do a double knot so it doesn't slide around. I'm just going to put it right at the base of that label. If you wanted to bring it up, you could put it up on the label too. And then just tie your bow on the right side. This will give them its space for the tree to be near this bow without it being directly underneath it. Okay. And then if you need to trim off any that are a little long, you can do that. Okay, for this, I'm going to stick it on with a little adhesive in the back behind the label, and then the rest will just get stuck underneath the trees. So just slide it in. You can either have the trees go on top or underneath the ribbon. I think I'm going to do underneath. So just slide that down into its little pocket there. And then just try to make sure it's nice and straight on your card. I like the little simpler bow. I think it's not quite as overwhelming as the double bow, but that's up to you. And then if you would like to add some rhinestones, you can do that. Just a couple here and there, add a little extra bling. Come on. There we go. Maybe one there, a small one here, and then a medium size up near the label or something. Okay, and that card is all done. I love offering both a simple and a stepped up version of this layout so that you can choose which one you want to make. I hope you enjoyed watching me create these beautiful cards today. If you would like to see written instructions or close-up images on how to create these cards, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. If you would like to subscribe to get your own paper pumpkin kit, please do so using the link in the description box below. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.